And I'm going to go ahead and hit record. But I always wait for just a minute just to make sure that Facebook tells me that we're live. So there's a little space here that we'll edit out, but I think we're good now. Perfect, man.
Yeah, I see that we're live on Facebook. I wish there was a way from your side to share it to my Facebook page.
I wish there was. Right now, I only know how to do one. You know, I just learned how to do this part of it. So I'm pretty proud of myself with that level of tech savviness.
Totally.
But awesome, man. I'll do the quick and we're ready to go. Hey, I am Dr. Jason Bradley. Today is Tuesday, January 5th. This is Guerrilla Health Radio, and we are here with the eminent Dr. Jack Wolfson, premier cardiologist, board-certified cardiologist out of Colorado. He's been featured on CNN, Fox, and I think every major news outlet and magazine and newspaper that you could imagine. Dr. Jack, welcome to the show.
Dr. Jason, pleasure to be on. Excited to speak to your audience and whoever else is listening now, live or in the future. And it's more important than ever to get this information, health and wellness out there. The world right now seems to be against health and in a total state of fear. And we have to bring the light onto the truth and the reality, and really to give people some answers to not only heart health, but total body health and wellness. So thank you again.
You bet. And thanks again for your time. Yeah. I think just jumping right in there too. I think, you're known for a lot, Jack. I would say you're known and notorious, I think is a good word here, for a number of different issues. And I want to jump right into cardiology. I have the genes, thank you, mom and dad, for cardiometabolic syndrome. And it's something that I struggle with all the time. I can gain weight, I can run diabetes, I can have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all of those, kind of red flags, issues that are out there. But here's the question I have. You wrote the Paleo Cardiologist, which, by the way, before I forget, for our listeners, if you want to pick up Jack's book for free, just shipping and handling, go to freeheartbook.com. You're welcome to go to Amazon and pay Jeff Bezos more money for it if you want. But if you go to freeheartbook.com, you can download it for free. Just pay shipping and handling, it'll be shipped to you. Jack, tell me about this. Does the American Heart Association have it wrong?
Yeah, I mean, 1,000%. And first of all, you have to understand why they would have it wrong in the American Medical Association, American Heart Association, the American College of Cardiology, because they're sponsored by pharmaceutical companies. So the only message they can really put out there is that it's no fault of yours. It's all genetics. It's all bad luck. So therefore, you need to take pharmaceuticals, do procedures and stuff like that. And what my book is all about and what my message is all about really is that there's a reason for cardiovascular disease. And it's got nothing to do with genetics, got nothing to do with bad luck, but it's got everything to do with the way you eat, the way that you live, and the environment that you surround yourself in. And if you gain control of all those things, you'll do very well. You mentioned your personal, family history, cardiometabolic. Well, your genes would probably have served you very well 20,000 years ago, because you were prone to be able to, if you're prone to gain weight, that means that historically, if you were in a famine time when there was no food, you would be able to hold on to those calories. And in the time of feast, you're able to store away those calories really well. So it would enhance your survival, the ability to make lipids and whatnot, cholesterol particles. That's all very good in prehistoric days. Fast forward now in a time of abundance, maybe not so much as far as your genetics are concerned. But again, if we live the healthy lifestyle, if we eat the right foods, get the sleep, the sunshine, get chiropractic care, we're giving our tools it needs to get the job done, and we're going to live a long, long time.
Jack, it sounds like you're talking about we should all have some personal responsibility for our health. That does fly directly in the face of I'm going to say modern American medicine. What do you think about personal responsibility for health? Why don't people take responsibility for their health?
Well, I think, once again, it's just kind of ingrained into our society these days over the last 100 years with the pharmaceutical takeover of the health and wellness industry. Really, it's kind of, the medical doctors are only trained in the pills and the procedure model. We're not trained to give people nutrition advice or lifestyle advice and advice about environmental toxins and pollutants and dental health and physical medicine. We just don't get trained in that. So, fundamentally, we've got a major problem going on. And that's why we have to continue to push the envelope, through mediums like this while we can. You're not going to hear this on CNN. You're not going to hear this on Fox. It's all sponsored by pharmaceutical companies. So if you've got anxiety, here's a pill. If you've got diabetes, here's a pill, cholesterol pill, blood pressure pill, and it's never addressing cause. And that's why I appreciate the opportunity to share my information, with everybody. So thank you again.
Yeah, I like there's a, I don't know if it's a poem or just an adage, but a pill to sleep, a pill to wake is pill for every body ache. And I think that we've been sold that pill, so to speak, to swallow. And I sometimes I will let you know that I get called an elitist sometimes when I say that we have to have personal responsibility for our health. We have to eat right, we have to move, we have to hydrate, we have to work on stress management, we have to sleep. And sometimes just for saying that, I'm called an elitist. What do you think about that? Am I an elitist just for claiming that same thing?
Well, I think, if I would understand elitist, then it would kind of be like, you're a person of privilege who can afford to do those things. And therefore some poor, let's say Hispanic woman in Arizona where my practice is, she's not capable of doing that. But yet, what if we said, okay, listen, we tell this woman, get to sleep on time. That's beneficial for your health and for your blood sugar and lipids and inflammation. What if we tell that woman to get plenty of sunshine because, people with the highest levels of vitamin D, the most amount of sun exposure, have the lowest risk of everything? What if we told that woman to throw away her dryer sheets, fabric softener, toxic laundry detergent? What if we told her to clean up her environment and actually save money by reducing things? What if we taught her about meditation? So again, there's so many different avenues we can do that are totally free. And then, Dr. Jason, what I love to do is point out to people where they're wasting their money, and stop going to Starbucks. Enough with the new clothes, new car, the trips that people take. There's so much wasted money that people use instead of paying themselves first and taking care of their health. So yes, it costs money to see a medical doctor, and yes, it costs money to see a chiropractor, and yes, organic food costs more money than pesticide food typically, but can we cut from other areas? And therefore really, really put our health as a priority. And if you're someone who wants to achieve the health, that's the way to do it. If you're like, you know what, I really don't care, I'm gonna eat McDonald's cookies and cupcakes, smoke cigarettes and drink booze and whatever, okay, go ahead. But I've only dealt with about 30,000 plus patients in my career, so I've heard all these stories and all these excuses before, and it really is a generation of hashtag no excuses. We gotta do better.
We do have to do better. And I think that you nailed it, that health is not seen as a priority, or it's seen as something passive. And I think both of those, it's dangerous, murky water for us to get into. And it's led to America being, 75% of us, I think, I'm just going with the numbers that are out there. I think this is conservative. 75% of Americans are either obese or overweight. 40% are obese. Of course, I know you know the stats. And again, we're told, that, hey, that's genetics. I got the gene for obesity, so therefore I'm going to get obese. I have the gene for hypertension, so therefore I'm going to have high blood pressure. I find from my point of view, a lot of times that when doctors are saying those types of things, that they're really resting on, I don't really know what else to do other than give you medicine. You mentioned earlier that traditionally trained medical physicians, medical doctors are not really trained in health. If they're not trained in health, what are they trained in?
They're trained in the pharmaceuticals, and that's, again, it's very fast office visits. Hello, Dr. Jason, how you doing? Your blood pressure's high. Here's your pills. Get a refill, get a stress test on the way out. Goodbye. It's very, very quick, and that's the way we're trained to assess people quickly, come up with a diagnosis, and come up with a pharmaceutical or surgical solution. And it makes life actually very easy for the traditional medical doctor, the mainstream medical doctor. Now you dip into the world of, let's say, chiropractic or becoming a holistic provider. And now you're going to have conversations with people about nutrition, lifestyle, environmental toxins, mindfulness, happiness, stress reduction. That all takes time. And so medical doctors don't have the time and they don't have the training. So their model is just dead on arrival, if you will. The answer is to make your doctor of chiropractic your primary care doctor. I firmly believe that. There are some great natural medical doctors like myself. There's some great naturopathic medical doctors. There's functional practitioners, functional functional chiropractors. Again, those are the people that you need to see for all things health and wellness. There's a time and a place for modern medicine, and that's called trauma. That's called the emergency room. When it comes to prevention, the medical doctors have nothing. They have nothing, nothing, nothing. Statin drugs, aspirin, blood pressure drugs, diabetes drugs, vaccines. They're not prevention. They're a pharmaceutical model, and it's a failure.
Well, and we call those crutches. I mean, I actually call drugs and supplements. I'm not going to pick on supplements too much here, or drugs, but I call them crutches. Just get it from point A to point B, and really should be used sparingly. You know, and the job of the doctor is to help educate the client, the patient, to have to lay down that foundation of health so that they can make healthy choices now that will serve them for a lifetime. And I think that you nailed so much down there.
Well, Jason, let me tell you, I mean, I am a supplements pusher, unapologetic supplements pusher. But again, I mean, we have to do everything first as far as coming after the causation. But the bottom line is, listen, some of us are 40, 50, 60, 70 years old and have lived an unhealthy lifestyle for many years. And that's one reason why evidence-based supplements help to supplement the healthy lifestyle. The other thing is, again, is that even the best foods, like the best organic broccoli that's grown in California, it's been farmed, organic broccoli farmers there for 50 years. The soil's depleted, the air is polluted, the water's polluted. Broccoli came from Asia, it didn't come from Northern California. So even on the best diets, there's deficiencies, and that's why I like to test, not guess. So I love to do, the most advanced laboratory testing in the world to be able to tell people, hey, listen, it's a magnesium issue, or it's a potassium issue, or it's an omega-3 issue, vitamin D levels, homocysteine levels, uric acid levels, advanced thyroid, autoimmune, leaky gut, mold panels. There's so many different things that we can use to uncover where people are at. And it's an exciting time because obviously, I mean, I know everything that the cardiologist knows because I did it in the hospitals for 16 years, and I know the holistic natural side, and that's where the answers are.
Hey, I've been in trouble for saying things like modern American medicine is outdated, outmoded, and dangerous. So I completely understand what you're saying with it. I mean, there's absolutely good testing that's out there, and I think that you nailed down a lot of those nutrients. So I have a question for you. Coming back to your book again, freeheartbook.com, the Paleo Cardiologist. So what's the difference? First of all, what the heck is the Paleo Diet? Why the Paleo Cardiologist? Tell me about that.
Well, let me say this real quick, is that, the book actually, it talks about nutrition, but it's also about the paleo lifestyle. So, whether or not you agree with, there's a million different diets that are out there. We want to make sure that you're getting the other facets of the lifestyle. Again, sleep, sunshine, mindfulness, physical activity, avoidance of environmental toxins, holistic dental care, chiropractic care, all that kind of stuff. As far as the diet's concerned, though, listen, it's quite simply the diet of our ancestors. We are hunter-gatherers. We've been so for millions of years. This is well documented in all anthropology, paleontology, archaeology textbooks. It's all there. And it's just quite simple. We can, and you can even watch television shows today, Alone, Naked and Afraid, Survivor. They are hunter-gatherers. So if we kind of bring that into the 21st century, I'm not telling people to go out there and go kill an elk or, do things they're not comfortable with. But again, try and bring that into the 21st century. Hunter-gatherer foods. But if I could leave your listeners with one thing, no matter what diet you follow, please make it organic. Eat food that is not soaked in pesticides like glyphosate and atrazine and DDT and other environmental chemicals. Eat real food that, again, is healthy for you, healthy for the planet, healthy for the animals. That's really what we're looking towards. But just go organic, get the chemicals out.
I love that. I love that so much. You almost quoted Michael Pollan there. Eat real food, mostly vegetables and not too much. Let's talk a little bit.
I didn't. Hold on, my friend. Hold on. I didn't say that. I didn't say mostly plants. Michael Pollan says mostly plants. And obviously we could take issue with that, but Michael Pollan is one of the first books I read. I think it was maybe like Omnivore's Dilemma or something like that. One of his first books that I read back in, probably 2006, 2007. And he takes that tact, but again, there's a lot of people out there that are following carnivore, they're following keto, they're following low carb paleo. And to me, the healthiest food on the planet is seafood. There is nothing else that compares to wild salmon, sardines, anchovies, shellfish. Nothing, 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 nothing. Especially like a whole anchovy, a whole sardine, the whole shellfish, nothing. Second would be organ meats, so animal organs, and then throwing that along with another complete food would be eggs. Let me throw it back on eggs. I love eating salmon roe, wild salmon roe. There's nothing healthier than that. There's no broccoli, there's no dandelion green or chard or kale. There's no, it doesn't even come close. But again, go ahead and watch one of these shows where either they're looking at native populations that exist or it's a survival show. They are looking for animal foods. They're not we're just fine eating tree bark and root vegetables. They're not. They're starving and they're looking for animal products. So, Michael Pollan's take is politically correct these days, but it's just wrong. And one of my favorite shows too, movies that everybody needs to see, which everybody has pretty much, is Castaway with the actor Tom Hanks from the year 2000. And he winds up on the island. And if we all lived on the island, going to sleep with the sun down, awaking before the sunrise, watching the sunrise, spending the day in and out of the sun, physically active and eating, coconuts and seafood, we're going to live a long time. The only thing he suffers from is social isolation. That's bad.
And
that's bad.
Talk about social isolation, and this is a can of worms to open up, but seems like a lot of people are suffering from that, especially with the lockdowns. And I know we're supposedly coming out of those lockdowns, but then I heard there's another wave coming. What do you think about jumping ship here a little bit? What do you think about the lockdowns?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I'm totally against it. If you're concerned about your health and you're worried about a virus, stay home. Stay home in your house. Stay nice and safe. You'll be good to go. The rest of us need to go out living our lives. We need to continue working, continue thriving, continue social interactions. The lockdowns are wrong. Whatever this illness is, it should proceed through everybody. If it is transmissible, let it be transmitted to everybody, and let's keep America and keep the world going on. Lockdowns have led to suicides. They've led to depression, anxiety, all forms of illnesses, major catastrophic. I don't even want to say mistake because it was probably planned to do it that way. But either way, the reality is that people are isolated. There are a lot of people out there that are alone. They are not like you and I that have, married, with children, a close support network. There's people that are alone. They're isolated. A lot of old people, nursing homes. They've been taken away from their families. Everything has been shut down. It's coming up, close to a year now, and it's just it's catastrophic. And I wish it would stop. I pray it would stop. I'm not confident it's going to stop. I've got a lot of friends that practice in the hospitals, and they've got all kinds of stories and horror stories. Well, we've got just as many horror stories times infinite. And the answer, again, should always be, let's focus on building up the immune system, make our immune system bulletproof, and then we're not worried about a virus or a bacteria, as was said in the late 1800s by Béchamp and other researchers at the time of Louis Pasteur. The pathogen is nothing, the host is everything. Be a strong host.
Absolutely. And just to add to social isolation, suicides are up, drug use is up, opioids are coming back. We had it on the going down trend a little bit, but they're coming back. Homicides are up. There's a lot of collateral
alcoholism, all of it, man.
There's a lot of collateral damage that's happening. And in fact, just to quote Dr. Daniel Chong, he said that lockdowns are the luxury of the elite. And I think that that's an interesting perspective, for sure. Coming back to seafood. So seafood itself, I think I love you so much. And I think everything you say comes with a question, right? Seafood, people get worried about mercury content. Do we have to be worried about that or not?
Well, the fish that I highlight in my book and stuff like that, wild salmon, sardines, anchovies, the small fish, shellfish, no issue with mercury in those. The only fish that contains significant amount of mercury is going to be large fish, swordfish, shark, halibut, tuna, but even the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology has reversed their decades long recommendation against pregnant women eating seafood. They reversed it because they realize how important it is for everybody to eat seafood, and especially if you're developing a fetus, slash baby. So I test people all the time. I test for heavy metals, and we're not finding mercury in people that are eating the right foods. But and listen, people talk about polluted waters. The whole planet's polluted. I mean, you can get organic cabbage, grown in the Midwest, and it's going to be polluted with environmental toxins. So the benefits of eating seafood far outweigh any risks. Omega-3, people with the highest levels of omega-3 from seafood have the lowest risk of everything. Embrace the power of seafood.
Hey, and speaking of omega-3s and then advanced testing, do you do omega-3 testing in your practice?
Yeah, no, on everybody. Very, very important. And what it tells us is kind of what we already know. People aren't getting enough seafood into their diet for a variety of reasons. Mostly it's not for health purposes. It's just they've never been given seafood. They were never told really to eat it. It's it's kind of middle America where they're living on corn and soy. And it's a major
Sounds
problem.
like
All societies, no insult to Iowans, but all societies in the history of the world came from the water, and they ate plenty of seafood. So we need to, again, to embrace that diet.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of diets, there's one of your cardiology colleagues, Dr. Stephen Gundry, wrote a book called The Plant Paradox. And this comes up all the time. I have questions about this all the time. So I thought I'd go to you and your opinion for sure. What do you think about his whole take on lectins? Do we need to be concerned about lectins?
Well, lectins, obviously, I mean, listen, he didn't invent this stuff. He read it in the literature, and doctors like yourself, natural holistic practitioners, have been talking about the issues with lectins, phytates, and plant molecules that are there to defend the plant. See, when you eat seafood, well, seafood can be hard to catch. So, fish can swim, it's slippery. An animal, again, can run. An animal can kill you. An animal has jaws and claws and stuff like that. Well, a plant can't protect itself. A plant has to protect itself by producing things that tell predators to go away, to make predators sick. And those are lectins, phytates, and stuff like that. So that's why when people talk about eating mostly plants, that may not truly be the case on what is beneficial. So I think, in reality, eating more meat and seafood is going to be the better approach. And of course, I'm talking about free range, grass-fed, quality animal products. That goes without saying. So, when you talk about Gundry, I think the problem with Gundry's kind of whole list is that it's very restrictive. Eat this, don't eat that, eat that, so it makes life a lot more difficult. I think it's pretty easy to say, okay, I'm a hunter-gatherer, I'm hunting and gathering, what would be available to eat? And if I came along, across dandelion greens, I would eat those, or broccoli and eat those. So I like to stick with that. One final comment on that too is that the concept of sprouting your food. So you would soak your nuts and seeds, you would let them germinate, and that helps to break down some of the lectins and some of the phytates. And the other thing finally is that when we're healthy people, and we're able to digest our food appropriately, we'll be okay. The problem is, of course, so many people take acid blockers, 15 million Americans on proton pump inhibitors. So if you don't have the appropriate digestive cascade, you're going to be in trouble no matter what diet you follow. And that's why you got to work with a quality health practitioner to work on that digestion. My wife, when I met her in 2005, she said it's about the gut, about the gut, about the gut. Gundry realized it. I realized it. Jonathan Wright realized it. Every holistic practitioner gets that as well. It starts with the gut.
It does start with the gut. And I think if I have your website with your wife, it's the Doctors Wolfson, DRSWolfson.com. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. To learn a little bit more about there. Yeah. So continuing down the cardiology route, I'm still, I mean, the cat's been let out of the bag, a while ago, but I'm still amazed at how many statin drug commercials are on TV, right? Can you just help our listeners understand, here's the question: cholesterol, is it bad? I mean, what's the deal with cholesterol?
if cholesterol is bad, why would our bodies naturally make it? Why would all animal species make cholesterol? Why would an egg contain cholesterol? Why does breast milk contain cholesterol? Can you imagine a mother is trying to kill her baby by putting cholesterol in her milk? So cholesterol being vilified started off in the 1950s, 60s. It was done for a variety of reasons, mostly malicious. And really just been a smear campaign against a molecule we cannot live without. So cholesterol makes our vitamin D, it makes all of our sex hormones, it makes our digestion, it makes up all of the cell membranes in all of our cells, and inside the cells, the organelles. Without cholesterol, we're dead, plain and simple. So we need to embrace cholesterol, but we're looking for kind of the perfect level for us. So if we were paleo peoples 10,000 years ago and wandering around wherever we came from, we look, what would your cholesterol level be? Would that total cholesterol be, 210, 220, 230? Would it be 190? But the most important thing, Dr. Jason, really, when we're looking at cardiovascular risk, is to look at a ratio of what's called apolipoprotein B versus apolipoprotein A. And it is that ratio that gives us the best risk. So we don't want to have too many apolipoprotein Bs. We want to have a lot of ApoAs. And that's what everybody needs to be tested for if they're looking at their risk. There's other cardiovascular markers as well that I talk about in my book, but total cholesterol is a pretty worthless measurement. We need that ratio, and make sure you ask your doctor about it.
Make sure you ask your ratio. Yeah, absolutely ask your doctor about it. Freeheartbook.com. So again, the cat's been let out of the bag. I think that they've even said, even our guidelines say that cholesterol might not be what we think it is. The guidelines are suggesting now, the ATP3 guidelines are suggesting now that we do lifestyle interventions rather than drug interventions. Why are those statin drugs still so prominent in your opinion?
Well, again, just because certain guidelines come out with something, the cardiologists and the pharmaceutical companies that really pay for all the medical education, they're going to keep pushing that statin route. And again, as a cardiologist, we get no training in nutrition, so I can't have a conversation about nutrition. I get trained in pharmaceuticals, and that's what we do. So, statin drugs are loaded with side effects. They're not an answer. I don't prescribe statin drugs. I know other cardiologists who don't either. Pharmaceuticals are not the answer. The answer is health and wellness, and that's what we choose. But again, statin drugs, what they can do to your brain, what they can do to sex drive, libido, erectile function, digestion. It's just a synthetic chemical coming into the body, lower CoQ10, people lose energy, muscle mass, again, dementia, transient global amnesia. I've seen it all. And there's a better way. That's why I wrote my book.
And those are all massive risks of just taking statin drugs. I think that you just had talk to your doctor about lowering your cholesterol, may come with these side effects. And I think you just gave the list of side effects there. Rhabdomyolysis being one of the big ones, breakdown of the muscle cardiac tissue. I wanted to just ask, we've hinted about this a little bit, and I just want to come back to kind of merging two of the main topics that we chatted about today together. And then I'm giving you an opportunity to leave our listeners with, a real practical measure to kind of implement. If they don't do anything else, this is the one thing to do. Coming back to COVID, one of the, with COVID, the risk factors, the biggest risk factors that we found for folks that are dying from COVID, and again, or dying with COVID, I'm not sure the right word to use there. I'll be careful with my language. Folks that are dying with COVID, we're finding that they have 2.5 at least risk factors, these other comorbidities at the same time. A lot of these are cardiovascular risk factors. What do you think about that? Let me ask the question differently. Sorry. Should we be focusing on COVID, or should we be focusing on the risk factors?
No, it's always the risk factors. That's what we're trying to focus on, trying to make you the healthiest version of you. If you're the healthiest version of you, you're not going to get sick from virus, bacteria, fungus, parasite, nothing. We've been living in symbiosis and harmony with these other players, if you will, for millions of years. So we're not going to try and defeat nature. We can only live with nature and do so in harmony. And that's always going to be the focus. Listen, the people that go to medical doctors, they're the people that are dying. The people that get-go that are on all the different pharmaceuticals, they tend to be older. They tend to have lung issues, autoimmune issues, obesity issues, diabetes issues. Certainly cardiovascular hypertension tends to be one of the biggest risk factors for COVID hospitalization and mortality. And it's again, sick people get sick, and if we become healthy people, we're going to be just fine from whatever COVID is, whether say from virus, from EMF, from environmental toxins. We'll at least we'll give our bodies the best chance, going forward when we really follow the healthy lifestyle.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, and please understand, I'm not trying to be political here. All the vaccines in the world are not going to protect us from the risk factors.
No, 1,000%. There's no vaccine for the unhealthy lifestyle. It's never going to happen. And listen, I mean, to me, the answer is not pharmaceuticals or injections or chemicals. It's, again, always building the system up, not tearing it down.
Absolutely. I'm reminded of a quote by Tom Waits. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, a singer-songwriter. And the song is God's Way on Business, but he says, you can drive out nature with a pitchfork, but she'll always come roaring back. And I feel like we're really trying to take control of Mother Nature here lately. And I wonder where that's going to leave us. Dr. Jack, any parting words, any bits of advice?
Well, it kind of, when you said that, it kind of reminds me of the old comedian who's now passed, who was amazing, George Carlin. Go watch some of his old stuff. Wow. And he was like Nostradamus, predicting stuff of today. So George Carlin, he talks about the planet and planet Earth, and how all these people are trying to save the planet. And George Carlin's like, listen, the planet's going to be just fine. The planet's going to be fine. Mankind will be gone. We will be gone. We'll be erased from planet Earth. The planet will rejuvenate. Planet Earth will be just fine. So again, chasing away nature with a pitchfork, nature's going to come roaring back. It's going to, and we need to live with nature. We need to, again, embrace the health and wellness model, and just get out of this mode of fear. The world right now, fear is at an all-time high. What it's doing to our health, what it's doing to our relationships, what it's doing to the fabric of society. Wow, what a cataclysmic turning point we're at right now. And I hope we come out the other end. And if we don't, again, we'll all be gone, and the Earth will be just fine.
The Earth's going to survive. That's what I think George Carlin said. I hate the Save the Earth people, because what they mean is save the Earth for me. Really selfish. Hey, Dr. Jack, thank you so much, guys. It's freeheartbook.com. Dr. Jack, thank you again for your time and being on the show. Thank you so much. Yeah. And guys, until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. Tomorrow we have Dr. Jason Richardson on the show, and I'm just excited to connect with you then. Dr. Jack, thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. So I killed that live stream, and thank you again. I can kill the recording.